Elon Musk's private space flight company SpaceX wants to make life multi-planetary. This is partly motivated by existential threats such as an asteroid collision big enough to wipe out humanity. Settling on other planets would spare human civilization if one of them were to experience a cataclysm. Musk has often spoken about his dream of building cities on Mars, where he believes that settlements would need large numbers of people in order to become self-sustaining. For all these dreams to become true, Musk has to invent a vehicle that will be big enough to carry many people, strong enough to protect those in it from fragments in space, and fast enough to travel from Earth to Mars in a short time. All those questions will be answered with what Elon Musk called the Starship. With most prototypes of the Starship already launched, and most of which were successful, the Starship vehicle could be a game changer for space travel. Here are 20 inside facts about Starship that you need to know. 1. The main duty of the Starship. Starship is designed for long-haul trips to Mars and back to Earth, which could take up to 9 months each way, holding normally about 100 people per flight to Mars. The payload bay would also host common areas, storage space, a galley and a shelter, where people could gather to shield from solar storms, where the sun belches out harmful charged particles into space. Starship might also play a role in NASA's Artemis program, which aims to establish a long-term human presence on the moon. In 2020, SpaceX was awarded $135 million by NASA to advance the design of Starship so it could be used as a crewed lunar lander. 2. It is too big. The combined system will stand 120 meters tall and will have a diameter of 9 meters with a combined payload of 100 tons plus. The spacecraft part, which will accommodate people, known as the Starship, will have a length of 50 meters and a diameter of 9 meters. With a payload of 220,000 pounds plus, that will be able to haul large cargo or people to destinations in deep space. And the rocket part of the launch system, called Super Heavy, is 70 meters in length. 3. Fully reusable. The expendable rockets that most space companies fly enclose their payloads within two fairing halves that split open to release a payload, then tumble down to burn up in Earth's atmosphere. SpaceX's own Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy rockets use a similar design. But Starship system is designed to be fully reusable, meaning the principal hardware elements are not discarded in the sea or allowed to burn up, as what has been happening with some other launch systems, but are instead recovered from space. They can then be refurbished and flown again, reducing the cost of the whole enterprise. 4. The Super Heavy can hold up to 37 Raptor engines. The Super Heavy booster can handle a variety of Raptor configurations. The minimum is around 24, but this can reach up to 37. Musk recommended 31 is probably ideal. Combined with the Starship, the entire design could hold up to 43 engines. 5. It's launching. As it ascends from the launch pad, the combined Starship system will begin to pitch over towards the intended orbit. When the Starship separates in space, Super Heavy flips over while falling back towards Earth. As it descends, Super Heavy will deploy steel structures called grid fins, shaped a bit like potato waffles, from the sides of the booster. These will help steer the rocket stage back towards its launch pad so it can be flown again. Previously, SpaceX had wanted to ignite Super Heavy's Raptor engines to guide it down to a precision landing on 6 steel legs, but later changed this. 6. Refilling in space. The Starship upper stage could be inserted into a parking orbit after separation, allowing it to be refilled with propellant. To refuel, the spacecraft would dock or mate with another Starship already circling the Earth that acts solely as a propellant depot. The two ships would actually mate at the rear section. They would use the same mating interface that they used to connect to the booster on liftoff, Musk said in 2017. To transfer propellant, it becomes very simple. They use control thrusters to accelerate in the direction that you want to empty. 7. How the ship will land on Mars. Starship will enter Mars' atmosphere at 7.5 kilometers per second and decelerate aerodynamically. Given that the vehicle is coming into Mars' atmosphere, which is so hot, the vehicle has heat shield designed to withstand multiple entries. 8. The heat shield is like a tiny glass of vermicelli. While the stainless steel resists high temperatures, heat shields protect at high temperature areas. These hexagonal glass tiles are very light and crack-resistant, they're fully reusable, with low maintenance. SpaceX previously tested the shields on a Crew Dragon mission, and they worked very well. 9. The overall price of SpaceX. SpaceX has not said any word about how much it will cost for it to build or operate a Starship. It's similarly silent on the price it will charge customers for launch services utilizing the rocket. Until we know those two things, it's going to be very difficult to say what kinds of profit margins Starship might produce for SpaceX, or how much leeway the company will have to lower its prices to keep competition at bay. Until we know that, it's going to be hard to estimate how much of a competitive threat Starship poses to the established space launch businesses companies such as America's United Launch Alliance or Europe's Arianespace. 10. It will reduce the cost of launching satellites. Starship is designed to deliver satellites further and at a lower marginal cost per launch than our current Falcon vehicles. With a payload compartment larger than any fairing currently in operation or development, Starship creates possibilities for new missions, including space telescopes even larger than the James Webb. 11. Starship uses a lot more oxygen, more than what you take in for your entire life. It uses 3.5 tons of oxygen for every ton of fuel. Its Falcon predecessor required around 2.5 tons of oxygen for the same amount, which is mostly liquid oxygen when it ascends. 12. SpaceX is building Starships quickly. SpaceX's team at Boca Chica Beach built Starship Mk1 in about 4 to 5 months, Musk said. That was after he changed the design from a carbon fiber exterior to stainless steel, a design he said would be cheaper, heat-resistant, and would result in a similarly strong, lightweight vehicle. 13. The Starship is built with steel. Unlike most spacecraft and aircraft that use carbon fiber that is light in air, Starship will use steel for its walls. Part of the reason why SpaceX switched away from carbon fiber is because of its cost. The steel is about 2% of the cost of the carbon fiber. It costs $130,000 per ton for carbon fiber, whereas it costs $2,500 per ton for steel. That's too cheap and affordable. 14. An Antarctica-like base on the moon could come soon. Musk declared that a base on the moon would be ideal, akin to research bases in Antarctica used by scientists to conduct experiments. Musk said it would be very exciting to have a base on the moon, adding that a base focused on scientific research would be useful. His moon musings come as NASA has stated that it plans to return to the moon and land astronauts at the moon's south pole by 2024. 15. Reduced fragile. Rocket launchers need to exercise different levels of care when launching payloads of fuel, delicate electronics, or even more delicate astronauts. The more fragile the cargo, the lower the G-force a rocket can accelerate at. To accommodate different payloads with differing requirements, SpaceX is designing Starship such that both the Super Heavy and Starship engines can be throttled to help maintain launch vehicle and payload acceleration limits. This function of the rocket's design expands the range of cargo SpaceX will be able to use Starship to carry. 16. A self-sustaining city on Mars is the main goal. A new concept image showed the potential for a Starship-powered city on Mars, complete with habitats. Musk described it as the fundamental thing. SpaceX has previously claimed it could build a city on Mars by 2050. 17. When will it fly? In the last few years, SpaceX has tested various prototypes of the Starship upper stage at its Boca Chica facility in Texas. The company started off with a 39 meters tall test article called Starhopper, which bore a passing resemblance to a water tower. Since flying this vehicle to 150 meters above ground, SpaceX has been developing increasingly complex Starship prototypes. In December 2020, SpaceX launched a test article named SN8, Starship Number 8. The first to feature a nose cone and flaps. After reaching an altitude of 12.5 kilometers, SN8 belly flopped back to Earth, giving SpaceX valuable engineering data about the final part of Starship's return from space. It was almost a textbook flight, but the vehicle approached the landing pad a little too fast and hard, causing it to crumple and explode. SpaceX launched its successor, SN9, in January 2021. It flew to 10 kilometers up, but, again, failed to pull off the landing. In October 2020, Elon Musk said SpaceX was aiming to launch Starship on an uncrewed flight to Mars in 2024. Some observers note that Mr. Musk's timelines are sometimes optimistic. But he has also developed a reputation for eventually achieving his goals, no matter how ambitious. And lastly, aliens probably don't exist. The fastest way to increase defense funding would be to be like, hey look, we found an alien, Musk said, pouring cold water on the conspiracy theories surrounding the Area 51 base and an alien cover-up.